Go right to reports, and the first one is a graduation update.
And good evening, everyone. Glad to
Good
see
evening.
everybody tonight. We are very excited that we are presenting to you. You'll notice something a tad bit different, but the next 3 years for graduation dates. And the reason being is that we are moving our graduation to the new Dickies Arena. And we are then given the ability to do a multi-year contract where we can go ahead and choose the specific dates that we want, and those dates will be held for us. So we are able to move our date back to Saturdays, and you will notice that we have the next 3 years, May 30th, May 29th, and May 28th. And we would like for you, if you're willing, later on to approve these dates.
Sounds good. It's good to get them set for 3 years. Thank you, Dr. Barnes. Cleat, operations report.
Okay, I have some updated photos. You see the main part here of the single ply roof, the white roof on the area of the locker rooms, the gymnasiums, and you can see the part that's right in front of you is F. That's the fine arts up in front of the building, and that roof structure is going in place, and you can see the decking on the cafeteria is in place also. And area A, which is the main part of the building, that's the main entrance. You can see the steel structure coming in there, and hopefully within a couple weeks they'll have the all the steel in place so they can pour the second floor. We still have to put a concrete floor in there. That's kind of the critical path on this area. And if you notice the little white wall right in the middle of that, that's where the elevator will be located, to kind of give you an idea. That's kind of the central part of that complex.
One of the walls look thin from the overhead shot, don't they?
Yes, but it was like, they take up a lot of concrete, but they're pretty thick things, and they got about a 2-inch foam seal on the outside and on the inside with all the steel and rebar inside. And the back part of it, you can see where the roof line's coming up there, a little bit in that. Got the right in there. Let's see what else is going on in this picture. Area C, so the ICF has been completed on all the structures. And to the left, you can see where we're getting ready for the bus loop and the faculty parking on that south side of the property. And that was just right after a pour that morning, so they were finishing up. And currently, it goes all the way to the back in the loop where the tennis courts will be located. Right back in through here, that's all been filled in. Just another look on the north entrance. We finally got this approach poured, so this is our new entrance. It used to be right over here. And so now the construction workers, you can see they have a lot more room back in here to park. They were kind of coddled up in here and all up in here. But now we got a good place, and you can see here's where our brick, all our supplies are starting to line up to get ready for that phase of the rock. Obviously, that's not all of it, but do have some supplies on hand there.
Do they close that at 9, or do they just?
On the weekends. On the weekends. And so there's two approaches now. You have the north, and let me just go back to the south. Okay, this approach now is open, but what they're going to do is block it off continually. So you don't see this, but Pogue is now putting up their fence. It's a chain link 6-foot fence. It's all the way across the front, and it's by the end of the week, it should have the big blue wrap around it, and it says Pogue. And then our sign, it's been dismantled. They got it kind of run over right over here, but it'll be right up in front where you'll see it also. So it'll be, by the end of the week, it should be back in place. But all this has been, the final grade's been put on that, the chain link fence, and so we probably won't even open this one for a while. Just try to focus all the traffic up into this area, and this one gets blocked off. Usually they'll bring a machine and block it off right in that area. But they'll have a gate now by the end of the week. The back side of the building, kind of a different view, and you can see here's another part of the insulation going on. So it's kind of a lavender look. So we got the white building and we got the lavender building, pinkish. But it's moving along. You see some of the topsoil down here in the bottom. And this is the little storage building that we have for athletics in that area. And so Hellas, we've had a meeting, pre-construction meeting with Hellas. So they're gonna be on site. What they're going to do is put everything, the asphalt in place, and the last thing we'll do on this project will be the football field and the track. So we could fast forward and get this done this summer, but then it's gonna have a late summer on it with the rays on it, plus it'll have a winter. So we're projecting like in February, finished by spring break, that they'll go ahead and put it in at that time. So then we don't have to worry about people coming out there and doing things, hitting golf balls or such. So that should give us another at least a year on that.
Is it an 8-lane track or?
6 lane.
6 lane?
So it'll be the kind of, what's the reddish color, the center look. That's what we have proposed. And that's the PowerPoint slide. But everything's moving along. Could use a little rain just to keep the dust down out there. But on this picture up here, you can kind of see projected where that other building site is located. And so Dr. Chadwell and I had an opportunity to go visit that one morning. It just rained, so everything was tremendously wet, but they'll have a lot of, we'll be able to keep a lot of these trees in this little valley, so there'll be a good little separation visually from the football field in this building to this one over here, the central office spot right there.
Where's the Y deal from that? Is there a picture that shows it?
The Y will be right where these trailers, it'll come, here's the, that's our property line right in there, so they'll come right in, there's a little valley right in here, so there's roughly right through here, coming up through here is 10 acres. So they'll have a little parking right up here in front, and then the main building will be right in that area, would be my guess, but they'll put it before it really kind of tapers off. And then we'll extend this, this road right here is our road, and it'll actually extend coming right through here. There'll be a little bitty bridge right through this little low area where the water runs through, and then we'll come up to right in this area, and we'll probably have little roundabouts there, so if somebody gets stuck down there, they can just take a loop and come back out. We're looking at a lot of proposals how to make sure that's not like a dead end where people get stuck, they'll be able to get out of there, get down there. And this over here would be future elementary site up on that knoll. Y'all can't see it?
I'm just giggling because you're looking way up there. Can't you just look at your computer?
Well, I can, but I've got the mouse. Oh, I guess I could look here. Yeah, I can. But anyway. And then we have, tonight we have Aubrey Slayball with Huckabee, and she's going to go over Copper Creek, the design, what we're looking at, and some of the early components of that, and it's a draft only at this point, and so we don't have finished colors or anything like that, but it's kind of a design concept, kind of the tweaks that we're looking at between Dozier and Copper Creek.
Thank you.
Is it the same as what's in here, or is it specific?
Good evening. Like Cleet said, we just wanted to update you on a few of the changes as Copper Creek has developed that differs a little bit from Dozier. I am going to jump through these first couple of pages and just start with the site plan. The orientation, the front of the building, you see where the main entrance is, it will front Copper Meadow Drive. There have been multiple meetings with City of Fort Worth, so they have seen this. They have seen the proposed drives off of Copper Meadow, and everyone seems to be in agreement with that. One of the main differences that you'll notice between this and Dozier is the total parking count. Fort Worth has changed their requirements for parking count for elementary schools. In the past, it had been based off of your square footage and your occupancy. but there was no difference between the elementary, middle, and high school level. And as you know, at the higher education levels, you have student drivers and things like that that require more. So they've since reduced that for the elementary level. So this shows around 132 parking spaces currently, which is more typical for an elementary school of this size that we see commonly. I think you had close to 200 spaces at Dozier. But this should still adequately support you, and if there is, overflow for activity, evening activities, there's plenty of street parking, and the community center parking is right across the street as well. So I don't see that being any issue for you all, but just wanted to make you aware of that change.
It's going to be an issue like on open house nights and,
Right,
5 times a year maybe.
right.
That's always an issue,
Right.
200.
Doesn't matter if you have
as opposed-
200,
yeah.
130. but-
Yeah.
But having that community center.
One thing that'll help us is that community center parking, and that's the reason this is different. They're not gonna let us use the back of the building, and usually that's a requirement. But they want us to be able to stack down that community area instead of the garages or people backing out. So they really didn't want any traffic in the back for those neighbors, to get irritated and they call in and complain about parking back there, so.
So they're going to let us offload to there? Is that a formal agreement with the community center or?
With the developer and the City of Fort Worth Transportation and Public Works. Fire department, they'll have their little say in the back.
Yeah, this fire lane that you see back here on this bottom left is still a point of conversation. It's something that the fire department wants to get access back into that neighborhood, but there are other parties that are still fighting against that. So that, we're showing that right now, but that'll still be, further conversations will be had on that.
And just to reiterate, you may want to talk about this, part of that is that there's not really much utility to us, because we want a controlled access to the site. Also, I doubt they're planning on paying for it, and so
Right.
that's part of it as well. So there's really no advantage for us, just expense, and so we've been resistant to that. Anything you want to add to that? Mr. Ward?
The only one thing that might help us, and the walkers would be able to cut through there. We have to make sure we had somebody out there to make sure they get caught up in the drop off. But if we don't have that, they'll have to come all the way around to the Creek Meadow Drive. So. But anyway, they can get there.
But we could put
We
a
could put
trail.
we could put a
sidewalk.
trail there a lot cheaper than that.
Well, yeah, we could, but if the developer could get that lot back, that would be.
Because our property
it would
line
be
is where the
a-
gate is, where that word gate is.
It would actually,
It
the way
says
it's
neighbor-
currently, where you see that brown where it says neighborhood, it would go kind of in an arc all the way over to the other side.
It almost looks like you could get a lot in there and a little walking easement too though, right? If we wanted walkers to be able to get in there.
Again, it's just, that's
I
what
don't
we're.
think you'd want walkers
A
to
little
be able to
path,
do
yeah.
that. They're not going to.
So we'd have a gate there, we'd have Knox locks, we don't want to be able to go through there except the walkers. And the firewall.
As far as drop-off and pickup, that will function very similarly to Dozier. You've got two separate parent drop-offs for your younger kids and your older kids, and then your bus drop-off is completely separate on the other side of the school with a separate entrance and exit. So I think that should function pretty similarly to what you're used to. Any questions on the site plan?
Before you go on, the part up there by Copper Meadow Drive, you see those little trees that are drawn in there, that little path? That is not ours, that is the community park. So that's something that's required by the developer, and that will connect into the Fort Worth Park, which is just to the south of our complex. So we will
Where's
not
our-
maintain that part of the city.
So I guess I'm confused about our property lines then.
It runs along that little squiggly,
That is our property line, the
yeah, that's the
squiggly path?
sidewalk roughly, that would be the.
All right. How many trees are we going to have?
We still need to study that.
So those won't count in the tree count in the.
Since they're not on our property?
Not on our property.
Yeah,
Depends on who's counting.
yeah, we might get lucky.
Whoop. Did I hit something? It's still up on here.
It's still up there.
So as far as the floor plan, it was very minor changes that we made. Probably well, let's start with the administration. One of the requests was to get the counselor's office moved into the administration suite. If you look about halfway down that top classroom wing where it says testing, that's where the counselor's office was. And so we moved testing out of the admin suite and moved counselor in. And then we did a couple of other minor reconfigurations just to help with day-to-day flow within the administration suite, but nothing significant. One of the things we wanted to do is move the elevator more towards the corner, more towards the intersection of the two academic wings. At Dozier, it was kind of buried further back into the administration wing. And so on the second floor, you kind of have to go not halfway down, but a decent ways down that wing. So this kind of gets it right at that intersection point. So it'll be easier to recognize and to access. As far as the classroom wings, the most significant change for the kindergarten classrooms at Dozier, they all had individual toilets in the classrooms. Just based on the amount that they get used, we've elected to have 2 classrooms share 1 toilet. And so we've reduced that by half. And then if you notice, the first grade classrooms no longer have any toilets within the classrooms. So in doing that, we were able to bring up shorten the classroom wings by 4 feet and 6 feet respectively, so save some square footage there. I think that should still give everyone the function that they need on a day-to-day basis. The other biggest change is that the tornado shelter will be added in this project, and so that will be located in the gym. We did not have to modify the size of the gym. It was already designed to a size that would accommodate what is required for the shelter occupancy. The only thing that we did update is the bar across the top that has the support spaces. We did have to increase the number of toilets that you have serving that space to account for 1,000 students and staff in there. We added a control room, which is where all of the operations center basically will be when it's in shelter mode. And then we shifted, the storage used to be in this bar, and we shifted that over to the left side here and moved the office within this bar. And because the storage is something that's not critical to the shelter, but we needed all of those other spaces to be part of the shelter envelope.
Aubrey, before you go on. Well, just to point out a few things on this administration area. What we try to do is tighten up the access points to the office. And Dozier has a controlled area just like this one. But if you notice right in here where my mark is, there's a door there now. So right now at Dozier, they have free access, and somebody can walk by there. If somebody, they can get back there. So now there'll be a wall there and a door that has badge access. So that sets the standard of what we're putting in our schools this summer. That it controls all the traffic in there. No one gets out of the office without us allowing it. So you can go to the nurse's office, but there's no door there either. So you have to come back into the office area. So they have to be buzzed out to get into that hallway. So it's a much more controlled environment.
There's only 2 entry points into the office area?
I think there's the one where the controlled area is one. The one between the secretary and the conference room is 2, and then there's one in the hallway, which would be the 3. And you cannot, someone that walks in can only go out the door, that controlled vestibule. The other ones are controlled, either both of them by badge, but if a parent was wanting to get through, they'd have to be buzzed out to get through that in the hallway.
How about the entrance to the library? Seems like that's the same vestibule.
It is, it has a door there, it's locked, so it's set to where during the day it's locked, but it's a fire egress.
Got a
So somebody can actually pull it
panic
open,
bar.
but it's,
You can exit, but you can't enter. Yeah.
so same kind of model that we're doing at all our schools, and realize they're all a little bit different. Some need, like for this Dozier model, we had to put a wall in and a door. But anyway, just controlling it and,
Is there a need to have an access point into the library from the outside like that, from the vestibule?
we did it for, the thought was for after night activities,
School.
PTA, they don't have to come into the building, controlling that part of it. They just have access to the library.
There on the other side of the library towards the gym office, is that also an access point?
I think we're still trying to decide if we have to have that one for fire, to have an access door that way.
So we know that we need 2 exits out of the library. The question is, will they allow you to go through the computer lab and into the corridor? Will they count that as an exit? And we're not confident that they will, so we're still showing the exterior door.
The fire,
as
you're talking about the
second
fire
exit.
department with a little.
Yes.
So how many access points are there to the school? I know there's one that we want everybody to go to, but many outside doors.
It looks like there's 5, well, you've got the midpoints on the wings too that add, so there's 3 per wing.
12.
Yeah. But they'll all be controlled, so during the day, the only place you can enter without a badge is
Would
that
be
main
the-
entrance.
And of those, I don't think we have any leeway of getting rid of or minimizing.
It's the fire keeping
It's
us,
not fire code.
fire
Yeah,
code,
Dead end hallways.
yeah. Okay, thank you.
If we look at the second floor, there's not really much to talk about. That is pretty much the same as Dozier, with the exception, like I said, the elevator shifted to more towards the intersection. So that just shifted the equipment room and the dyslexia or the resource space a little bit further down. But no significant changes to talk about here. I mentioned that we did reduce the overall footprint of the building, and so that did affect these, but the rooms on the second floor were actually already oversized, and so we were still, even in that reduction, able to maintain 800 square feet for all classrooms.
Which in the 5th grade, we're not required to.
No, you only required to have 700 in the upper grade levels.
What was the point of putting the one fourth grade room in the multi-purpose? Why'd you do it that way, as opposed to putting all the 4th grade rooms together?
We copied this from Dozier. I actually had the same question, but the reality is it's just a label. All of the rooms are the same.
They're the same, so it could be a,
Yeah.
I just didn't know if it was.
The only difference is that multi-purpose room on the corner currently has 2 doors, so it can be served from either wing. But really, that's just an operational point on how you want to function.
Dozier, does anybody know, is Dozier putting the 4th grade up with the others, or are they doing it the way this is, do you know?
I'm not sure
Okay.
as they grow.
I'll let you there.
Year to year it changes.
Okay. True.
The next page just shows some context images of the neighborhood and the community center that are adjacent to the school, because that will help us as we move forward to the exterior views. If you'll notice that the community center, which is the large picture in the center, has dark roof, dark trim, and it has a variety of stones. The bottom part is a lot linear and lighter, but then that, obviously the main part, it has a lot more variation in tones to the stone. So we tried to incorporate some of these colorings and materials in some ways to the exterior views that you'll see on the next couple of pages. The first exterior view is of the front of the building. From left to right, you're seeing the gym, the library, the main entrance, your admin in that dark box, and then one of the classroom wings that comes out to the right side with the stair tower at the end. From a material standpoint, we're using the same materials as Dozier, a variety of brick and stone and metal panel and stucco or plaster. And we're, for the most part, using them in the same way. The lightest color that you see on here is stone, and so the entire library box is stone, and then the first floor section of the classroom wing is stone. And so that is the same as Dozier. What we did try to do, just to break things up a little bit, is the middle part of that classroom wing. You'll see it's more of that medium tone. We decided to bring that brick that's on the upper level all the way down, just kind of cut that wing in half and give it a little bit more variation. And then the administration wing is, or the administration suite there, is the darkest color of brick. So we're proposing 3 different brick colors, which is the same as Dozier, I believe. So the lightest color of brick is just an accent band within the stone, and then you have your medium color brick and a dark brick. The main entrance, that element, we're actually proposing to do in a dark metal panel, which is different than Dozier. I think we carried the stone onto that, if I recall correctly. And so you'll see on this one and the next image, our thought is just to carry that metal panel down that entire entrance spine. So that will be slightly different, but not significant. One of the other things that we did is try to clean up the clear story windows. The clear story windows at Dozier don't really relate much on, when you look at the exterior, it just kind of looks like random punched openings, even though they do tie to the equipment platforms and the clear stories within the school. So we just tried to clean those up a little bit. They do still serve as clear story windows into the second floor corridor. And then that center section does still serve an equipment platform and get a little bit of daylight in there. So, the next page shows the back side of the building and then the other side of the classroom wings. So similarly, in each condition, we broke up the classroom wing with that brick at that center section of doors. And then, like I mentioned, you can see that where that back set of stairs is at that center spine. We're proposing to take metal panel all the way through there. And so that would be a little bit different from Dozier as well. And then just from a schedule standpoint, we are finishing schematic design, hopefully tonight with your feedback. And then we'll move into design development and bring you another update in September. The goal is to issue documents at the end of October for permit review to go through the city of Fort Worth, and then issue documents for bidding just after Christmas. So, and we're still on track to make that schedule, and then with the goal of opening the campus, or being ready to open April of 20, so you have a little bit of cushion there before school would actually start. So, any other questions? Any other things to chime in on?
Just a starting point, kind of getting the colors, and really we're trying to make a play off the community center that's already there and trying to be engaged in the community. It was kind of the thought. I appreciate Aubrey's group. They took a very critical eye at Dozier, even though it's their own product, and say, how can we make this better? So I think they struck a good balance with that. So I appreciate their work in doing that.
The dark roof, does Dozier have a dark roof?
It's kind of light. It's
There's a
kind
light
of
roof.
yeah, aluminum, grayish aluminum.
Great, okay. This would be matching the community center or
Correct.
close to it?
I think y'all did an excellent job on that. When I went through the adjacent neighborhood, I was going, oh, why is she showing us that? And then when you flip over, I go, oh, yeah, y'all really, I would
Yeah.
not have any problem with that being across the street from me.
We're not bringing in the random stone look. We're still keeping it a linear stone
Yes.
pattern, but we wanted to pull from the coloration that's in those stones. So,
All right, thank you, Aubrey.
all right, thank you.
Complete done?
Yes, CIP projects are continuing.
Yep.
Hopefully they'll be finished right before school starts, kind of like the roads around here. Pull everything together right at the last. So
I can move those barricades out there. We can go out.
we can get a trailer too. Get a trailer.
Get a trailer.
and,
Mr. Elkin, you got a trailer we can use, don't you? We can just go pick up all those.
We can all be out there to help you. I'd be
Jeez.
glad to move some of those.
That's all I need to do.
Sounds good to me.
You want to give the new date, Mr. Will?
The new date is this Wednesday.
It's like, why did you change it?
So Thursday, I'm gonna be driving down the road, free and clear.
Maybe. You can do that.
We can do that now.
This was the project that was to be done before school started last year.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Forgot to ask him what year. but-
Anyway, we're keep pressing them there.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Welch. Mr. Shealy, a finance report.
That's not mine. All right. First of all, I want to start off, last month, we came and asked you to approve the maintenance tax notes. Unfortunately, I jumped the gun and didn't see the email from the attorney with the appropriate legal wording, so we're bringing it back. It's the same action item. This time it's in consent with the appropriate wording. I did include a copy of the preliminary financing plan in here. The plan is well within the parameters that we established for the I'm trying to find it now, and it's all it's sticky on me. It is within the parameters that we established for the technology plan. At this point in time, we're anticipating that the notes will be sold and the funds delivered by August 30th of this year. The next the budget. During the year, we monitor where we think things are going to be. We look at last year's results. We try to add in the new positions, the raises, the known increases. We had estimated a surplus of about $1,700,000 back in February, and we're pretty consistent with that even into June. Last week, we actually put all the pieces together, and I'm going to go over the budget that we're going to bring to you next year. So this is kind of like the finale up front. This year's budget is right at $178 million for the M&O, right at just under $40 million for debt service, and food service is right at $8.6 million. M&O collections are 106, or estimated revenue is $106 million. Foundation school program is right at $54,500,000. When you look at the expenditures, function 11 is, again, direct instruction, by far the largest piece of the budget. We're looking at total expenditures of $176,672. Right now, at this point in time, we're looking at a surplus of $2,080,000, more or less. The TAVs that I used on this were based on our projections. We did get the certified numbers in last Friday, and I did go through those, and they track very closely to what we're projecting. It's a little below what we were told it was going to be, but it's right in line with what we projected. I want to go over a couple of things on this page that are interesting. First of all, the tax revenue is up $13.5 million. That is because of the growth and also the increase in existing values. However, state revenue, what happened to it, has declined by $9 million. So this goes back to exactly what we've been talking about, which is we're a very effective collection agency for the state of Texas. The majority of what we collect actually goes straight to the state for their budget purposes. If you come down here to the bottom, local funding went up 12.2. State funding went down 6.2. The net of that is 5.9. That money, $3 million of that went with raises. The majority of the rest went with additional staffing. When we get to the expenditure side, you will notice almost a flat line in functional expenditures. The only area that we accommodated growth was on the campuses. That is based on a per capita basis, and we do allow those to fluctuate with the population. The other thing I want to point out is this number right here. This is my estimate of our initial year of recapture, $611,000. I anticipate that will increase every year as we go forward. My guess right now, next year, is it'll be over $1 million. So we've entered the world of recapture, and it does tend to go up quickly. If you look at the changes from prior, oh, we did that.
Do we net recapture with state funding, or do we have to write them a check back?
We have to write them a check. We have to make a selection and tell them that we want to pay the least amount of money that we can pay, and then we have to write them a check.
You still have the option to write that to another local district?
You could, well, we're going to, in essence, buy that WADA. It's just that you can't write the check directly to the district. There is an option to go out and provide services to another district, whether it be curriculum or data processing, something along those lines. Those have been very, very difficult to manage. So the cheapest way is to buy WADA from any other district. The TEA will recognize the district. We buy the WADA, send the check to the state, and if we send it in a little early, we get, I think, a 2.5% reduction.
Who calculates that? You've estimated it, but when is the official calculation?
There, you pay it quarterly, and then at the end of the year, there's a settle up. And usually I have paid based on my calculation, because their calculation is 300,000. My calculation is 670. We'll make the payments based on the 670, and then we'll settle up at the end. When it gets to be substantially bigger, and there are districts that are looking at, Plano, I think, spends 90 million, or Frisco's right at 90 million. It can be a real shock at the end of the year if you don't have a fairly accurate estimate of what your Chapter 41. For us, it's 600,000. It is what it is. In looking at the proposed, this is the expenditure line item. Well, that's still the same thing. Where did it go now? Okay, here's the expenditure, sorry. The instructional expenditures went from 97 to 99. So that's an increase of 2.1 million. Once again, if you look at the increases and reductions up and down that line, you'll notice that is the only one that is significant. And that is due to two factors. Number one is the hiring of additional teaching staff. And number two, the raises and the restructure of the teacher salary scale. So at this point in time, that is what drove that number up. As you go down the rest of that, it is really, it just doesn't move much. It's in there, and the only one that went up was the debt service, went from 1,930 to 2,500. That may be a bit high. That was to accommodate the issuance of the maintenance tax notes, which are not yet in the budget because they don't yet exist. There are a couple of things that we're going to have to go back and look at, and we may end up increasing this expense area, but I doubt it will go up by more than 200 to 250,000, which still puts us right at above the 1.5 million that we need to reestablish fund balance, and maybe an extra 200,000. Campus-specific expenditures, which are highlighted in green, total 76% of the budget. The blue expenditures are those that are predominantly campus-based. That is another 17.8. That comes to almost 94% of the budget. I suppose you could put a lot of the others as being campus-centered, but just to make sure that we look at those things that are really expended on the campus, it comes to about 94%. I want to kind of look at teacher salaries. Right now, we're projecting teacher salaries at $89 million. Total salaries are 131, so they're 68.3% of total salaries. They constitute 50.7% of the total M&O budget, and when you add in INS, they're 42.2% of total expenditures. This has actually increased on all three categories in terms of teacher salaries as a percentage of those three categories. Once again, it's a result of excuse me, the restructure of the teacher salary scale, which we monitor this to make sure somehow we don't get out of line. And it's
So is that in line with, that doesn't really mean anything to me because I don't have a point of reference. Is that Region 11 average?
Actually, this is our historic average, and I can send those to you on a Friday update. We've got these for the last 3 or 4 years. And I really try to look at to make sure that we're in balance as we go forward. If something doesn't look right, then I'll run into Dr. Chadwell's office and say, doesn't look right.
Doesn't look right. Is that a metric that's used in the evaluation by the legislature or anybody else? It's just a way you do to keep.
Just by me.
All right.
Honestly, it's only used selectively to be critical of the overall budget. So if you look at the M&O budget, they'll say only 50% goes, but that's because certain staff aren't classified in that category, such as librarians, counselors, paraprofessionals,
That is
child
not
nutrition
campus
workers.
personnel, that is actual,
Yeah.
that is teachers who are assigned, have classroom assignments only.
Like everything, you just have to ask more questions.
Right.
But, and as far as comparison, I don't think Region 11 or the state does
Does
what you're
this.
doing. I think so we're benchmarking against ourselves.
Okay.
But in looking at the gross number and the overall percentage spent on, when you look at the taper report, it appears to be higher. Our percentage for non-administrative staff, it tends to be higher. But we can get you some more specifics.
Yeah, I'll get you some, I'll pull some information. Like I said, this is internally things I go through to make sure, number one, that we haven't made a decision that's caused us to veer off the road, but also that the numbers that we're producing are reasonable. It's a kind of a sanity test. I'd like to be able to see the forest for the trees. I've got some detail in here, and it's at your places. And what this does is it takes each one of the functional categories. So function 11, which is instructional, is made up, 6.1 is salaries, 6.2 is travel fees, that 6.3 is supplies, 6.4 is memberships and association charges, and I don't know where that, and the 6.6 is capital expenditure. So we go through, and I'm going to talk a little bit about capital expenditures. We go through and look at that, and once again, we compare this year to last year to try to see if we have about the same balance. And if we don't, then I need to know why we don't. The one thing I have seen sneaking up has been the 6,600, which is the capital expenditures. And I think I know why after visiting with several principals, and we're going to try to address that at least to a certain extent. I did this all the way through. I looked at each one of the functional categories. The main takeaway from all of this is that salaries are by far the predominant factor as we put our budget together. The only area where salaries are not the single biggest is in plant maintenance and operations, and the biggest number there is utilities. By the time we get through with electric and water and gas, that actually eclipses the salaries as the biggest. Well, actually, salaries are bigger, 86 to 77. That number varies back and forth. Community services, data processing, there's the debt service. The numbers on here may not correspond directly to the numbers. I think I mentioned on debt service, I raised that from 1.9 to 2.5. That's because of the maintenance tax notes. This is the actual number for this year, was 1.7, but I've added the number from the maintenance tax notes, and also we have another lease coming through to replace the existing laptops. The other intergovernmental charge is the property evaluation and tax collections from Tarrant County Appraisal District and TAB. The major portion of that is the appraisal district. Current budget, increase in students is about 450 students. Average increase from all sources is just a little over $8,000 per student. So revenue went up about 3.6 million as a direct result of the students. Net increase due to the property tax increase was about 2.3 million. So even though, once again, we went up 13 million total collections, our net is about 2.3. Some budget notes. There were transfers to debt service and a smaller transfer from food service into the general operating fund. Those are both included in these numbers. The capital improvement budget is $500,000. That's to allow Cleat to take care of surprises that come up during the year. The superintendent does have a contingency budget of $300,000 to address things that come up during the year. We had an increase in postseason travel in athletics and fine arts, so we raised that by $25,000. I mentioned the increase in capital expenditures for the various functions. We have established a $75,000 furniture budget to create an inventory of some of the common items, desks, teacher chairs, student chairs, horseshoe tables, classroom tables, things like that, because they do break and some of them are getting a little older. The big reason to do that is to take, I'm sorry,
No, go ahead.
is to take that away, that worry or that concern away from principals. It's one of those things where they gotta worry about because they need places for kids to sit, and it's just taking them away from their main job. 75,000, I've talked to the principals, I've asked them what they need, they've been extremely reasonable. And I think that will not only take care of it, but allow us to have an inventory for future needs. Budget enhancements and other requests are not included. All of the operational requests are included, and those increases would be transportation. There are some increases in utilities. The insurance has gone up. The collection fees have gone up. So those non-negotiable items are included in the budget. So at this point in time, there isn't anything that isn't in the budget that has to go in the budget, except for a few things that didn't make it through the normal process, but they're not significant.
Just to comment on a couple of things we're pulling out of that superintendent contingency from this past year is that, of course, the Wilkie Field, we're going to be doing work on it there, and then also starting tomorrow, the Boswell East parking lot that's asphalt, where you can see the prior years bleeding through with the multiple lines. That the county will start work on that in the morning. That'll be shut down for a week. We'll have alternative traffic coming around the other side for all the camps, and so it'll be re-prepared and then at the end be restriped. And so Fleet's been working with the county on that part of it, but that came from that fund as well. And then we've turned over dollars every year. I'm not sure if we will this year because we may utilize the rest for some technology initiatives.
Are you using it for the maps, the safety maps as well?
Yes, for the safety maps and also for the audio enhancement system that we talked about, but that's not been.
We watch it and track it, and it's one of those things, if you do not have money that addresses these things when they come up, then you're scrambling and trying to pull it from somewhere else. We included it in the budget. Dr. Chadwell manages it, like he manages many other things, but it is used to address the safety maps, the radios. I mean, those are things that in the past we would have struggled to get done. Now we can get them done.
Because we're trying to avoid coming to ask for a transfer at the end and have a fund balance transfer that way. But the two previous years, I think we probably had about 25% of it that rolled back into the general fund.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty close this year, I
Fund
think.
balance, excuse me.
I think with the maps and some other things, we're probably
Yeah,
going to
this
use
year's
most of it.
So you're just doing the east side of the Boswell parking lot, not the west?
The west side's not needed.
For
It's
the
not
band
in the-
practices,
Yeah,
right?
it's
So
not
they got their
bleeding through.
lines
Yes,
marked.
it's not bleeding through. The east side is, if you've been over there lately, you actually have two sets of lines. You have the old lines coming through and the new lines, and then we're gonna re-prepare it, and we won't, students won't be painting their parking place over there. So that's something we're, kind of stopped last year. I think we don't know if we had any last year, so that practice is, I'll say grandfathering. Saginaw High School will be the only one this year that will have that. There's a lot of issues that come along with it because although they sell the spot for fairly, I don't know, $50 or $100 or whatever, it doesn't come close to what it costs to re-prepare the spot when you have to power wash it, sandblast it, re-prepare it. And then we also have new requirements now for, to make sure that
Environmental
hazmat,
control.
environmental controls. So we have to,
That fund that you're talking about will help.
Couldn't they do something, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't wanna get involved. Couldn't they do something else, so like, hey, is there a tire stop there, or
well, there's
something
none-
simpler?
There's none in Boswell.
Okay.
Tire stops in Boswell. It's just one big
One
parking
big
lot.
flat thing?
Problem is it's done and then it's not maintained and then it becomes, like what's happening is old iterations of that are bleeding through.
Who gets the money for that, Booster Club or
No, it typically goes to the student council
Student
or
council
senior
fund.
class or
Okay.
something like that. But if we really charge what it takes to do it, it would be really expensive to sell a spot because we have to sell to clean it, you
Right.
know, to re-prepare it. So it's not really been an issue this year. We haven't had any major issues at Boswell nor Chisholm Trail. Dana has stars there. They don't actually paint their whole spot. They can reserve a spot. And I think last year Chisholm Trail sold 10. Is that right?
Yes, they're just,
Something like
they're
that.
not selling like they
Just a
used
few.
to.
So.
Next steps, we'll be continuing to review every budget item. There have been some additional items that we need to review and get in. We will prepare the final rendition for adoption, and we will get that out to you in a Friday update before the board meeting and also in the board book. We will have a budget and tax hearing on the 27th of August, which is also the night that we will adopt the budget and tax rate. The proposed rate is the same as the prior year. Our effective tax rate actually went up 4 pennies in order to get the same amount of revenue per student, which means that, and I haven't done the calculation because I'm not sure I believe it, but based on that analysis, we are actually getting less money per student than what we have gotten in past years. So we have hit that plateau, and it is possible that as we move forward, we're actually going to get less money per student. And part of that is because we're not accelerating the growth anymore. So we're there. And that is all I have.
All right, thank you, Jim. See, Dr. Dawkins is ready to go. She's looking at the clock going, I can do it. I can do this. All right,
Let's see.
additional
Where mine
staffing
is.
report.
As she's getting that
Don't see mine.
information up, we
Okay.
are working on the equity adjustments, which will address a lot of the auxiliary paraprofessional. This one is a one-off from that because of the change in the pay scale specifically. That's something that we would bring to the board. The others are ones that will be adjusted within the actual pay scale parameters that already exist.
President Newcomb, members of the board, Dr. Chadwell, I want to draw your attention to an additional staffing report. It's actually got 2 positions on it. One would be a new position for us, and that is the position of, next page, a social worker. The cost of that would be compensatory funds, and so the only impact to the budget would be benefits, any benefits that we provide. So that would be a district-wide position. At this time, we would house that person at Northbrook Elementary is the plan, just due to the needs. However, they would serve and interact with all of our campuses, and we're excited about the opportunity to provide that to our students. The next consideration for staffing would be a reclassification of our daycare workers. We had those on the auxiliary pay scale, and so they were the only group of people who worked with students and kids that were on that pay scale. So we're actually asking for reclassification for them to an instructional support role. So there's a little bit of a variance in some salaries, just so that that aligns with the salaries of our pre-K aides in a more similar position. So I'd like to ask for consideration of that, just that aligns more with their duties and responsibilities.
Does that mean we're just, does that mean anything else other than a title change and a salary realignment?
Title change and salary realignment, and it didn't affect every single person, but we did look at if you had someone similar years and maybe it was off, could be off, you know, a quarter an hour. We looked at their hourly rate, compared dollar to dollar hourly rate, so that we had people aligning with each other in years of experience, and then similar job titles with our pre-K aides. So. And then I am asking a little different tonight, just so that, especially for our social worker, for consideration, if we could have action on this tonight.
Is it in the action item?
Yes, sir.
All right.
It is.
wants to bang itself.
It's ready.
All right, thank you, Dr. Dawkins. It's currently 5:55 PM on July 23rd, 2018. This board will now recess for dinner and then reconvene in a closed meeting pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meeting Act: 551.071, consultation with board's attorney; 551.072, deliberating purchase of real property; 551.074, purpose of deliberating the appointment of employment, reassignment duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer, including to conduct a superintendent formative appraisal conference; 551.074, the purpose of deliberation regarding deployment or specific occasions for implementation of security personnel; 551.082, considering the discipline of a public school child. This is a public meeting of the Board of Education of the Eagle Mountain Saginaw Independent School District. The board is reconvening the public meeting on July 23rd, 2018 at 7:03 PM and will now consider the subject set forth in the posted agenda. Welcome everybody to our summer meeting. It's good to see a full crowd. Thank you for giving up some of your summertime to be with us. We're glad you're here. To start our meeting off, we're going to have Saginaw High School and Willie Server. If you come and introduce them.
Mr. Newcomb, Dr. Chadwell, and other board members, we want to thank you, and we want to present 4 wonderful Rough Riders tonight. So we're going to start with Ms. Heather White, the student council sponsor and speech and debate coach at Saginaw High School. She's also worked closely with many of the students that are here tonight with us, including the homecoming carnival and the large fireworks display that's become a real tradition in Saginaw and the greater EMS ISD community. And then we have senior Joshua Jimenez. Joshua's mom, Fatima Delgado, couldn't be with us this evening, but Joshua is the student council secretary at Saginaw High School, and he's also a member of the speech and debate club, and he plans to attend TCC upon graduation. And tonight he'll be doing the United States Pledge with us. Then we have senior Miranda Garcia. Miranda's parents, Michael Garcia and Amanda Bell, couldn't join us either. Miranda is our student council president, a member of speech and debate, our Posse Spirit Club, Fight for All, Aquatic Science Club, and a member of the track and field team. She plans to attend TCC in the fall after graduation. Sadara Cattell, she's got the most difficult name. She is also a senior. Her parents could not join us either, Dilly and Layla Cattell. Miranda is a senior with student council. She's our treasurer, a member of AVID, the Speech and Debate Club, the Environmental Science Club, and Charitable Crusaders. And she will be giving the Texas Pledge tonight. So if Mr. Jimenez, if you'd come join me in the United States Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for this day and for this opportunity that you've given each and every one of us. As we go through this meeting, I pray all ideas connect us, an open mind and heart. God, I pray to guide us through the new year and that each individual in this room carries a different perspective. As we leave here today, we thank you for a new day and many more to come. Amen.
Thank you, Rough Riders. Going to picture? Okay. We appreciate students being here to open our meeting. next part is special recognitions, and I'm going to call on Megan Overman to lead us through those.
We have some great recognitions for us tonight, and some wonderful kids who've given us, like you said, part of their summer to come and be with us today to be recognized. So first, I'd like to bring up Heather Hughes, Executive Director of Special Programs, with a special recognition of our Special Olympics state medalists.
Mr. Newcomb, School Board, and Dr. Chadwell, it's my true pleasure to present to you this evening. We had 7 athletes that competed in the state meet in Arlington right at the end of the school year. So I would like to first, none of this would be possible without the tireless effort of the volunteers and many coaches that support our athletes throughout the year. So I'd like to recognize them at this time. Before we recognize the athletes, okay, turn around that way so they can see your medals. This way, yes. So first, for the coaches, Miss Alicia Abbott, Jody Brownlee, please wave so they Lance Brownlee, Kara Scott, Emily Casper, Cheryl Whaley, Ashley Rooker, Shannon Reeves, Leanne Loggins, Michaela De Hoyos, our head of delegation, Coach Tammy Sisk, and also helper Amber Jones. And now for our athletes, Amelia Abbott. Amelia is a 9th grader at Chisholm Trail High School. She's the daughter of Alicia Abbott. She competed in the softball throw where she earned a bronze medal and a bronze medal or 3rd place in the 50-meter dash. Amelia? Nicholas, turn around. Our next athlete is Nicholas Abbott. Nicholas is an 11th grader at Chisholm Trail High School. He's the son of Alicia Abbott, and he competed in the 50-meter dash and the softball throw. Nicholas Abbott. And Sam Brose was unable to join us this evening, but our next athlete is Jared Herbst, more fondly known as Herbie, and he will be a 12th grader at Chisholm Trail High School. He is the son of Wendy Herbst. He competed and earned a silver medal in the 50-meter dash and also earned 4th place in the javelin throw. Our next athlete is Trace Mahan. Trace is a 7th grade student at Wayside. He's the son of Sharon Mahan, and he earned 5th place in the 50-meter dash and the 3rd place in the javelin. Our next athlete is Maya Nyberg. Maya competed, she's a 6th grade student at Creekview Middle School. She's the daughter of Rhonda Nyberg. She earned 3rd place for a bronze medal in the javelin throw, and she earned 5th place in the 50-meter dash. And last but not least, we have Mr. Daniel Thomas. Daniel is a 10th grader at Boswell High School. He is the son of Marion McDowell. He earned a silver medal in the 50-meter dash and earned 6th place in the softball throw. So again, if we could give one more round of applause to all the parents and volunteers who make this possible. Thank you.
Thank you. What a great way to start off our recognitions. Next up, we're going to continue with medalists. We have a state champion medalist in poetry interpretation from Saginaw High School. Where's Dylan? Come on up, Dylan. Dylan is a senior. He was named the UIL state champion in poetry and oral interpretation at the UIL Academic State Meet on May 20th and 22nd at UT in Austin. This was his 2nd time to compete at the state level. He placed 4th in poetry in his sophomore year, so a repeat winner here. This year, he not only was named state champion, but also district champion. He placed 2nd at region. He also competed in the National Speech and Debate Tournament in Fort Lauderdale in dramatic interpretation on June 15th. So congratulations. All right, and for our third recognition tonight, I would ask Dana Eldridge to come up. We have a bunch of students who competed in Skills USA, and she is here to present about their achievements.
President Newcomb, board members, Dr. Chadwell, administrative team, we're so thrilled to be here tonight. All I can say is wow. What a great year we had this year. Not only do I have Skills USA members, I also have two outstanding with us, but 3 students who attended nationals at FCCLA, and we have 1 student who's going to the International Space Settlement Competition. That is a mouthful that we'll be recognizing tonight. What I'd like to do is start off with our Skills USA students. If y'all will stand and come join me up here. We had the largest contingent ever to go to Skills this year. We actually took 14 students to nationals. And what that means is every one of these students is a state winner. They represented the state of Texas in their particular competition and competed against the best in the nation. And so for that, we congratulate all of them. I'd like to go ahead and announce them now. It's CNC technician, going to be a 12th grader at Chisholm Trail, coming back to us, Ferner Moreno. In CNC turning, a graduate from Chisholm Trail, Alexis White. CNC milling, graduate of Boswell High School, Shaylin Lane. Our automated manufacturing team made entirely of graduates from Chisholm Trail High School, Tyreek Askew. Jacob Simpson, who couldn't be with us this evening, and Natalie Woldridge. Our robotics and automation team, made up of seniors who will be coming back to us. 1 from Saginaw High School, Stephanie Munoz. And Cole Eaton from Boswell High School. Our mechatronics team, 2 graduates again from Chisholm Trail High School, Enrique Ramirez. And Kyle Van Treese, who could not be with us this evening. In nail care, not only did she place first at state, but she received a bronze, 3rd place at nationals, Esme Avalos. And our humanoid robotics team, 1st in Texas, 1st in the nation. From Saginaw High School, graduate Joseph Schinnerer. And a 12th grader coming back to Chisholm Trail High School, Andrew Hartnett. We are so thrilled and so excited about the accomplishments these students achieved. They went from district to state, all the way to nationals in Louisville, Kentucky, and represented the district with such pride. We also want to make one more recognition. We had 1 student who should have gone to nationals, but wasn't allowed to because their competition only went to the state level, but I think he's the best welder I've ever met, and that is Curtis Cash. Curtis did an amazing job, represented the district beautifully, and we think he should have gone to nationals, but he's the best welder in the country to us. So their instructors that have supported them throughout this are Sherry Davis, our cosmetology instructor, Demetrius Anthony, our manufacturing instructor, Master Matt Tucker, our other manufacturing instructor, and Rick Griffith, who handled our robotics team this year. While they're getting their picture taken, if you're a parent of one of these students, would you please stand and be recognized? Congratulations. Now I am thrilled to be able to recognize our FCCLA national winners. For those of you who are not familiar with FCCLA, you might be more familiar with FHA, Future Homemakers of America. It's now Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America. These young, outstanding students represented our district again, from the district to the state to the national level, and I'm so thrilled to present them tonight. From Boswell High School, a graduate who won gold in career investigations occupational, Taylor Diaz. From Chisholm Trail, graduate winning bronze, she was not able to be with us tonight, but Kennedy Harris. And absolutely without fail, from Saginaw High School, coming back as a junior, winning gold in career investigations, Patty Gomez. A sophomore. I'm so sorry. She is a sophomore. Patty will be taking the world by storm as a senior. Just FYI. If you are a parent of one of these two young, wonderful students, would you please stand and be recognized? Their sponsors and instructors are, we have Lindsay Metz from Boswell with us tonight. Our instructor from Saginaw High School actually has moved to Lubbock with her family, and so Amanda Dorton was supporting of the Saginaw High School's chapter, and then Rainey Radicke is our Chisholm Trail sponsor, and she couldn't be with us tonight. But these ladies have done an amazing job, again, representing the district.
Dr. Chadwell and the board, I think we're very grateful that Mr. Griffin was able to join us tonight, because what is happening at this moment?
He's imminently having a grandson right now. Oh. I mean, right now.
Go.
His wife actually just called him and said, "Where are you?" So we're going to try and get him out of here. My last presentation, again, I'm so thrilled. We have been involved, our aeroscience program has been involved with the NASA Space Settlement Competition for 4 years now. And all 4 years we have sent a student to the international competition. And what that means is that our student is chosen as one of the top 12 students from across the country to represent the United States against international teams from Russia, China, India, Pakistan. And they will be going to Florida here shortly to compete. And so I'd like to present Jonathan Furmuth. Jonathan, you're going to have to come up. Jonathan went to Houston and competed against enormous amounts of students. He was on a team of 40, and his team of 40 won that competition, and from that team of 40, he was one of the 12 chosen to represent the country. And so let me read you what he did, because I can't understand it. Jonathan was the winning team's director of human engineering, which created the settlement's habitat layout, architecture, construction, design. The design focused heavily on the physiological aspects of long-term space living, including simulating day and night cycles and creating recreation for children and adults.
I pretty much tried to beat anybody with a stick if they try to put houses next to farms.
There you go. I can say without question, we are so thrilled for Jonathan's success. Rick Griffith was his instructor this year, and we know he's going to go on to do amazing things, and he is absolutely going to represent our district and the country in such a phenomenal way. So again, Jonathan Furmuth. His family is here. Would you stand and be recognized? We would like to thank the board for your support, our administrative team, Mr. Behringer, Mrs. Davis and Mrs. Presley for the support that we receive from you to be able to allow our students to do this. We are so very fortunate. There aren't a lot of districts that have the capacity to be able to do what we do, and these kids are succeeding because of the support that you all give them. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Dana.
That concludes our recognitions. What a great way to start.
That was a great way, Megan. We appreciate it so much. I was going to tell the graduates that came back to be honored, thank you so much for coming back. That shows a lot that they respect their teachers and the work they did. And it was good to see them, and thanks to the parents for supporting them. All right, anybody sign up to speak for oral presentations? Okay. That brings us to the action item portion of the agenda. The first is to elect a designated delegate and alternate to the 18 TASB Delegate Assembly.
Mr. President, we have an opportunity for a selection of a delegate and alternate for the 2018 TASB Delegate Assembly. And so I would be asking for recommendations and a vote for those individuals.
I will happily recommend the two members of our team that are not here. Marilyn Colbert as the delegate and Tim Daughtry as the alternate delegate.
Second.
Motion by Donna and second by Paige.
I did it last year.
Ms. Nevins, for the record, that there were no recommendations from the administration for the delegates, okay?
Put me down as doing the recommendation. I'll be glad to own up to it.
Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Are there any opposed? And there are none. Motion carries 5-0. Next is to set the 2021 and 22 graduation dates for the high schools. We had a report on this earlier. And is the board ready to make a motion regarding this item?
I move we approve the dates of May 30th, 2020, May 29th, 2021, and May 28th, 2022 as the graduation dates for the next 3 years for Boswell, Chisholm Trail, and Saginaw High Schools.
Second.
Motion by Donna, second by Dick to set the graduation dates. Any questions, discussions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And there are none. Motion carries 5-0. Next is to set the public meeting to discuss the 1890 budget and proposed tax rate. Mr. Sheehan.
Yes, at your place, there is a blue packet. When we put this together, I looked for the third Monday, and it was the 20th. But, the correct date is the 22nd. This is required by law to hold this public hearing. We would appreciate a motion to set the date and time for August 27th, 2018 at 7 p.m. And authorize the administration to publish a notice as required by law.
Second.
Motion by Paige, second by Liz. Set the date for the public meeting for August 27th. Any questions? To August 27th, 2018. Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And there are none. Motion carries 5-0. Next, we have some bids and proposal. Mr. Sheehy, the first one is gasoline and diesel fuel.
On page 64 of the agenda, we did accept competitive sealed proposals for gasoline and diesel fuel. There were two one-year options. The proposals were received in May of 2018. There were 5 bidders. We have selected the lowest estimated bid, although all 5 bids were very close. We are recommending to award the proposal of gasoline and diesel fuel to Douglas Distributing, estimated annual cost of $456,784. Actual cost will depend on usage.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Liz, second by Paige. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And there are none. Motion carries 5-0. The next bid is the HVAC air filter services.
Once again, we put this bid out this year for the initial year and 3 and 4 one-year extensions. We had 3 bidders. The recommendation is to go with the lowest bidder, which is Filter Systems. And the recommendation is to award the proposal to Filter Systems for a total of $92,177.96.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Dick, second by Liz to award the proposal of HVAC air filter services. Any questions? Seeing none, all
I
is
did
in
actually
unanimous.
have one, because there was a huge difference in their costs versus the others. Do we know? I mean, I'm glad it's a lot lower, but it was,
Yeah.
normally when we see that much of an anomaly, you give us a reason.
I don't know if Charles is here, he may be able to.
Their bid was just significant, like half of the other bids.
Well, they know the school, they know where everything is.
They just had a better
They
understanding
have
of
a
the
better
bid.
understanding what
Okay.
exactly it takes. They know where all the mezzanines are, they know where all the corners are. They just know, they have the inventory.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? There are none, motion carries 5-0. Last bid of proposal is consulting and broker services for property and casualty insurance.
Because of the nature of the market and the performance of the pool that we were in, we went out to do a RFQ for brokerage, consulting and broker services for property casualty liability insurance. We had 4 proposals. 2 of those proposals were actually for student insurance. The other 2 proposals were from 2 very, very qualified companies. One out of San Antonio and one out of El Paso. In reviewing the documentation, we did go and are recommending to award the proposal of consulting and broker services to Alamo Insurance Group, Brown & Brown Lone Star Insurance Services. Estimated annual expenditure is $65,000. There were 2 prices that were quoted in this proposal that were substantially different. And in comparing them, they weren't really apples to apples. USI Southwest does significantly larger clients. They do Dallas ISD, Houston ISD, City of Dallas, City of Houston. And they are used to working with organizations that have large risk management companies. Our risk management department is 1 person, and she has to have assistance. They do provide assisting services, but they did not quote the price of those. I asked them twice for pricing on that, and they never got back to me. Alamo Insurance does about 25 school districts in the state of Texas, most of them are around our size. They have people that come in and work with your property casualty or risk management department. They also provide assistance with workman's comp if we decide to go down that route. That estimate is it $100 an hour for 650 hours. I do not believe we will use anywhere near that number of hours, but if we do have a major claim, it would be nice to have them around. So we're
We had
recommending.
this service in the past?
What's that?
Have we had this particular service in the past?
No, we've been in co-ops, Property Casualty Association of Texas, and Workman's Comp Solutions. The Property Casualty Association of Texas recently, they took a huge increase this year. And I was extremely concerned because I didn't think that they pushed it hard enough. And one of the reasons that it was so big was because that group has several school districts along the coast. So given the weather we've had the last couple of years, I think we're better off pulling back, especially from the coast. And frankly, we're big enough to run this by ourselves. We spend about $700,000 a year on insurance. We are big enough to negotiate our way through the market, but once again, we need an expert. The fees do not come directly from us. They're brokerage fees that are paid by the insurance. Prior to this, they went to Property Casualty Alliance of Texas. Now they would go to Alamo Insurance.
Sorry, I should have waited for a motion, I guess.
So moved.
What's that?
I should have probably waited for a motion before we started asking questions, but Donna made the motion and
Second.
Paige seconded it. So the recommendation is to award the proposal of consulting and broker services to Alamo Insurance Group. Any questions? Heard the explanation of the difference in the selection process. Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And there are none, motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Shealy. Next is to approve the 18-19 additional staffing report. Dr. Dawkins.
Yes, sir, this is the one that I...
2018-19 additional staffing report as presented earlier.
Second.
Motion by Paige, second by Liz. We did receive a report on this earlier today. Any questions now? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Are there any opposed? And there are none, motion carries 5-0. Next is to act on computer replacement student device lease.
I move we authorize the lease of Apple iPads from Apple for a 36-month term. Total number of iPads not to exceed 550.
Motion by Donna, second by Liz. Anybody have a question that Kirk needs to answer, or in general? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And there are none, motion carries 5-0. Next is to accept a donation of the trailer for the CTHS band program from the CTH Band and Booster Club. Mr. Shealy.
This was a donation of a trailer. We did ask for the trailer to be examined. I would ask for that we give them the permission to accept the donation of the trailer, subject to the correction of a few mechanical issues with the trailer that are approximately $1,000. Is that right, Dana?
Yes, sir.
So it would be conditional, which would be the recommendation of the administration is for the board to accept the donation of the trailer from the Chisholm Trail High School Band Booster Club to the Chisholm Trail High School Band Program for use by band students subsequent to the correction of certain mechanical issues that were found in inspection.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Donna, second by Liz. Becky, do you have that? Do you need him to repeat the end of it?
The band boosters are gonna make the improvements?
Becky, do you
And
need
they're
them
aware
to
of it?
repeat it?
Do you need him to repeat the end of that motion since it's not as written?
Mechanical issues noted in inspection, yes, ma'am.
All right, any questions on that?
Just
We
The
normally.
Booster Club is aware of the
Yeah.
need to improve
Yes,
it.
there's
They're
been
fine with that
communication
payment.
back and forth, and they're aware of it.
And what are they doing with the road trailer? Is this gonna be an additional trailer, or does that really matter to us?
At this point, they technically could use both of them. Most likely what they'll do is not use the other one, the original one, and it'll be turned over to surplus for us. And so we would either repair it and use it for whatever other purposes, or we would surplus it and auction it.
They know
Because-
that.
Oh, yes, and that's one of the things we asked them. Be sure that we clarified that with them. There is.
Oh,
Any,
Sean.
Sean, any additions?
No, that's accurate. The new trailer, it's substantially newer, albeit a used trailer, and it's larger and it's better suited for their needs. So the old trailer is ours to use as we see fit or put out to auction.
So we can auction it, we could use it internally if we wanted to use it to move things. Obviously it has a wrap on it, but we would store it over at the operations center. But the other one needs still to have the wrap done, which is done by the booster organization.
They pay for that.
Do they have a timeline to complete the wrap before school starts?
I don't know if it's, well, that's their timeline. I would say by mid-August, that's their hope. I know they're getting quotes and moving in that direction as we speak.
Okay.
All right, motion by Donna and second by Liz. Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. No opposed, the motion carries 5-0. Now we have a piano for the BHS band program. Sorry.
The Boswell High School Band Program has received the donation of a piano from Evelyn DeBon. It is the recommendation of the administration for the board to accept the donation of a piano from Evelyn DeBon to the Boswell High School Band Program for use by the concert and jazz band students.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Donna, second by Dick to approve the donation to the Boswell Band Program. Questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And there are none. Motion carries 5-0. Our next action item is to set the special meeting for the board and superintendent team building session. Dr. Chapman.
We have an upcoming team building session, and that will include the adherence to Senate Bill 1566, which requires training to be research-based and designed to support the overall oversight role of the board. It will also be provided by Region 11 Service Center and the new training that's been required as a part of the TAC Chapter 61. So the recommendation is set the meeting on Tuesday, August 21st at 5 o'clock. I believe most of you already checked your calendar to see if that would be possible.
Is it going to be here?
Is it going to be here or there?
Yes, it'll be here.
Here.
It's Tuesday, August 21st.
Second.
Page, second by Liz. We did have some advance notice, so any questions on it? Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And there are none. Motion carries 5-0. Item 7 is reports of the superintendent. We did conclude all the reports in the 5 o'clock session. Next is the routine monthly reports. Item 8, any questions on those? Hearing none. Next is to review the 2018 board planning calendar. Dr. Chapman.
The next meeting, we have a continuation of finance reports, operations report, including the quarterly demographic and housing analysis. We also will start with the interlocal agreements with the city of Fort Worth. We know sometimes those aren't ready as we want them to be, so right now we hope to be able to bring that in August. And also the one after that will be the Saginaw in September. We also have the State of Texas Assessment of Academic Readiness and the EOC exam data, AP results that we've been pouring over, fine arts report, school safety report, and then also action items there, all the hearings and adoptions of the budget and the tax rate.
All right. Again, if you have an item that you want considered for the agenda, please let Dr. Chapel or myself know so we can add it appropriately. Next is our consent agenda for approval.
Move we approve the consent agenda?
Second.
On the page, second by Liz, to approve the consent agenda as approved. Any questions? Seeing none. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And there are none. Motion carries 5-0. That brings us down to board comments. I will remind you that at your place was a request by Becky to know if you're attending the annual meeting for TASB. It's a yellow sheet of paper, so if you haven't seen it or completed it, please make sure she gets it. And then Dr. Chadwell, you may be covering some of this, but I know that we're invited to a lunch on Thursday. It was also at your place, to a barbecue lunch on Thursday the 26th at 11:30 at Wayside. And that's all I have. Dr. Chapman.
And on that Thursday, it's a special recognition for our maintenance staff and also for our custodial staff, just to thank them for all the work they've been doing this summer. I know they've been working very hard, and obviously the weather conditions are difficult, and we've been very thankful for all the work they've done. Please mark your calendar for the new hire orientation is on August the 6th at 9 o'clock. If you can drop by just for a few moments, just to be recognized as a part of my introductions, you're more than welcome to come. We'll have all of our new hires. It'll actually be in the Chisholm Trail cafeteria. Is that correct? Yes? No? And I said the exact wrong place because you told me earlier today. As I said, the HCTC? Okay,
Yes.
it'll be there? Okay, very good. So it'll be, if you could just stay for a few moments, that would be great. We'd love to be able to introduce you. Also, district convocation on August the 13th at 2 o'clock. And so that is, of course, of a change in time. We're doing it in the afternoon. And of course, there's several other items, open houses and first day of school and all that as well. If you have any questions on any of these things, let me know. And I guess one last thing. It was awesome, all these students coming in. I mean, there are so many great stories behind each one of these students, and watching their sponsors and their teachers with them. I know we all felt the same. I'm just verbalizing it. It was incredible. And the incredible things that these kids have experienced, and especially internationally, working on international teams. Anyway, makes you want to go back into school for just for a few minutes. You know, very impressive.
Just for a few. All right, seeing there's no further business to come before this, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. You are correct, and thank you for reminding me, Mr. Elkins. Because I was fixing the game, bang this out. This is a public meeting. Let's go up here. It is currently 7:44 p.m. on July 23rd, 2018. This board will now reconvene in a closed meeting pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act. 551.074, purpose of deliberating the appointment, employment, reassignment of duties, and to conduct a superintendent formative appraisal conference. Thanks, Mr. Elkins. I was fixing to. Send us home.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.